Okay friends, we're back for another crochet with me chat, and today we're going to be talking about your summer while we work on my beach cover up. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I've been working on this girl for a little while now and using my lovely yarn bowl that my friend made me. Oh, but this video is not about crochet. If you do want crochet content, then I have some of that on my channel, and I'm at carlascalling everywhere. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But without further ado, we're just gonna chat about Euro summer because it's a topic that I hear about a lot on social media, especially as someone who lives in Europe and is from the US. And I have some thoughts on the subject. Also, this beach cover up is more than halfway done. There's another panel that's completed, so this is the second panel. Don't worry. I'm taking long to do it, but not that long. First, I want to talk about why I think it's valid that some Europeans really do not like Euro summer, and then I'm going to defend it a bit, which you would expect me to do because I have, you know, participated in my own Euro summer. I use the hashtag and the word on TikTok or on social media because I'm kind of here for it, but I get why some people, particularly Europeans, don't like it. And I think the main argument is that Europe is not just 3 countries, France, Spain, Italy, which are the main places people like to go, or the main places that Americans like to go, but it is a continent made up of 50 countries. Not just the EU, not just the Mediterranean, but all of the European continent. And this European continent is vast and beautiful. You have different climates, you have different cultures, you have different languages, and that's part of the appeal for many Americans. So I get it that some Europeans find it very annoying that people talk about Euro summer, but they're really just going to like those few countries that I mentioned. And I think that's fair and not, because us as Americans are known or infamous for not having great geography skills because we're not really taught it in school in the same way that you are on this side of the pond. And we're overall just known for having this sort of ignorance in that sense. But my defense is that, you know, people go to the US and they visit LA and New York and say they went to the States, or even worse, they say I went to America. When America consists of North America and South America, and the United States itself consists of 50 states. Granted, we don't have as much cultural differences between, you know, Ohio and Illinois as we do between France and Portugal. But I don't think non-Americans are completely immune to generalizing. Also, what I've seen people say on social media is like, I'm not going to start saying France, Switzerland, Italy, summer as one word. Like, Euro summer consists of a very specific like vibe and aesthetic and energy. I also don't really like this patronizing attitude that we have towards Americans who are traveling outside their country for the first time. I think, yes, you have very ignorant people anywhere who maybe they'll go to a new country and not respect the culture, or maybe they'll go to a new country and complain about it the whole time. But to me, it's like we should be happy when someone wants to experience our culture, and I think it's inspiring in a way that Americans are so enthusiastic about coming to Europe. I remember the first time I went to Europe was in 2012. I was very lucky to join my sister's sort of like quinceañera trip, and I was just in complete awe. I didn't really know anyone who had been to Europe at that point. It almost felt like kind of a random trip, and I didn't know what to expect, but I was so excited when I got there. Like, everything felt so old world and romantic in a way that the US just doesn't, because the US is such a young country. And I think trying to make fun of people for experiencing this wonder and showing their excitement for it is kind of meh. It's not very nice, because it's like, who cares? It's not affecting you, you know what I mean? I read this article in The Guardian that was talking about Watergate on TikTok. It's like a trend kind of, or a topic on social media, primarily TikTok, where Americans are saying no one drinks water in Europe. Obviously, it is an exaggeration. And some Europeans, they get a little up in arms about it, like, of course we drink water. It's like, babe, we know you drink water. And it is kind of a stupid thing to say, like, it's obviously not true, but I don't think it's invalid, because water culture, if you can even call it that, is so prominent in the United States. Americans love their water. They love their reusable water bottles, and they love their ice water. To the point where ice water is a concept, as opposed to just being like, yeah, I'll have some ice in my water. people will actually ask for ice water. That's how much of a thing it is. And I don't think Europeans understand that that's where the Europeans don't drink water thing is coming from. I think if you're not aware of that aspect of US culture, that it does seem really strange and silly, which it is silly. I've actually never been a big ice gal, if anyone wants to know. I love iced coffee, I love iced matcha, I love ice in my Aperol Spritz. But ice in my water, I've never been like, meh. It's never been something that's like a must for me. I've had friends in the past who won't drink water without ice. I've just never cared to have my water ice cold. Also, if you got this far into the video, comment a water emoji. Just an emoji that reminds you of water. So that's something about US culture that I can't really relate to actually, but I immediately understood what these videos were referring to. However, I think Americans should look on the bright side, because if you go to somewhere like France, there are water fountains everywhere, and Parisians in particular take a lot of pride in their city's water. I mean, maybe not the Seine, but their drinking water, they're very proud of. And the first time I spent like an extended period of time in Paris, I remember being so impressed by that. At that time, I really didn't like not having a full water bottle with me at all times. Whereas now, I actually never carry a water bottle with me anywhere. Part of that is because I work from home, so I don't really feel like I need to. Another part is because I hate carrying it. And another part is because it's just not as common, and I found that I don't really need to. I drink water at home, and I ask for tap water at restaurants, and it's always free. And in quite a few countries, I'll put them here, it's actually the law that they have to give you free water at bars and restaurants. So the whole Europeans don't drink water thing is obviously not true. But what is also true, and this is my in defense of my fellow Americans, is that how we consume water is very different. And maybe it's actually linked to overconsumption in the US in particular, but that's another topic. So this article from The Guardian is not serious at all. It's just a little column. It's not getting into any of the economics of American tourists in Europe or water bottle sales or anything like that. It's really just a sort of cheeky analysis of this hot topic on TikTok. This article pointed out some funny responses from Europeans to videos talking about their lack of drinking water, like, my lips have actually never touched water, I only drink red wine and olive oil. So I appreciate that this writer, who I assume is British, is able to understand that this is just a silly little trend, and hopefully most people who are debating the water issue or Euro summer in general are doing it like in good fun. It's not that serious. And she even kind of defends people from the US towards the end, saying maybe it's drinking water and they're like overhydration that makes them so talkative and so happy to travel. And she also gets a little dig in towards Americans, because you have to, saying maybe it's not the water and it's actually just the fact that they only get a few days of leave in a decade, but I digress. And the reason why I think Euro summer and the whole water discussion are completely related, even if they don't seem like it at first, is because, you know, it's hot in Europe in the summer, especially in the popular countries that people like to travel to, and Americans expect their ice water. And while I've defended us Americans a lot in this video, I will say that this complaining about the water issue in Europe is actually Americans complaining about convenience, if we want to get critical. They're not complaining that there is no water. They're complaining that no one's bringing them water as soon as they want it. They're complaining that they have to ask for it. They're complaining that if they don't ask for it in the right way, they're going to get charged. In France and Spain, which are popular tourist destinations, you ask for a jarra de agua or a carafe d'eau. And to be fair, these are things that you do have to learn and get used to. But you learn and you adjust, and then you get your free water and everyone's happy. And I think when Europeans get kind of angry about these small criticisms that Americans have of the European cities they visit, it's partly valid, because it does kind of show an unwillingness to learn about a culture, even in a really small way, like how to ask for free water. So I do kind of get their grief with this in some ways. I also want to talk about another thing that people don't like about Euro summer, which is Americans being extremely loud. And I don't really have a defense for this. We are loud. Sometimes I think people's responses, Europeans' responses to loud Americans are a bit exaggerated. But I don't think this stereotype is completely, you know, made up or anything. Because sometimes we really do be screaming and not even realizing it. And I realized this when I travel with an American friend who doesn't live abroad, who maybe comes and visits me, or we go meet each other in one place, and I'm like, ooh, being kind of loud, girl. So I get it. Do I think it's that big of a deal? I actually kind of do. I think, you know, when you see videos of Americans being super loud in like places where you're clearly supposed to be conscious of the level at which you're speaking, I cringe. I cringe deeply. And the reason why I won't necessarily defend us for this is because that's something that actually impacts people. You know, like Americans talking about being thirsty is not actually like ruining someone's quality of life. I mean, that's a bit dramatic, but ruining like their lunch if they're sat next to a table of Americans talking about how thirsty they are. If you're sat next to a table of anyone and they're like screaming their story to each other, it's not enjoyable unless you're at a loud bar where that's the energy. But overall, I think Euro summer is a beautiful thing, and I love seeing people from my country. I'm not a patriotic American by any means, but I do love seeing people travel to a new place for the first time. I think it's a beautiful thing, and that's my defense of Euro summer. I rambled a lot in this video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Did I make much progress on my top? Not really, but that's okay. I hope you enjoyed this. Sorry for the rush speaking. I was just very passionate in my defense of Euro summer. Kind of. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions about living abroad or traveling Europe as an American, and I will be sure to answer them. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!